What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We are going to talk about Moon Knight. Now, Moon Knight may be coming out tonight. He's going to be sometime this week, hopefully, but he's going to be the final piece to the Shadowland team, and right now that Shadowland team is looking pretty good for war offense, and once we have Moon Knight in, maybe he's going to help finish it off. But I've got to say, with him and White Tiger, both those characters are very powerful, and you're probably going to find some use for White Tiger outside of a Shadowland team. For Moon Knight, he's definitely a far more viable team or viable character to find for some other teams, and we're going to talk about that while we're going through his kit. I'm going to give my recommendations for ISO, what red star targets you should go for on this guy, and why I think that this character might be one to go for even if you're not going for a Shadowland team, because he's got some pretty interesting synergies in his kit. We're just going to talk about all of that, but let's start with his stat breakdown because thank you, computer. Let's start with some stat breakdowns for this character because I think some parts of his stats are going to be very interesting because he's actually a very tanky character, and that has to do with his passive. And we're just going to go straight through his kit or through his stats first. So you can see we have Moon Knight sitting right here at the top of the chart, but what's going to be interesting is if you go for health, you're going to actually see Moon Knight is sitting here at number 9, 419,000 health. This is with everybody at 7-7, level 80, tier 15, level 5 passives, everything. Star Tech maxed out. Against everybody else, he is going to be the 9th healthiest character in the game. 419,000 health on him. Very good there. So that's one of the strong points coming for this character right away. And also his armor. His armor is sitting at 14,541. And if you go down your stat list, you're actually going to find him tied for 49th amongst other characters here. He's not too bad. He's got the same amount of armor as characters like Green Goblin, Anti-Venom, Carnage, Venom, and Symbiote Spider-Man. They all have the same armor values as him. But one other thing that you do need to remember with him is that his passive is going to give him 15% damage reduction on top of this. So he's got decent amounts of armor, and then he has a 15% damage reduction topped on top of it, or add on top of it. That's going to make him I guess you can kind of say he has quite a bit more armor than that, but still, that is some pretty significant damage reduction for him. He's not going to take a lot of damage. He's got a high armor to help mitigate that, and he's got a lot of health to go for him as well. If you go back and look at his damage, he's sitting here at 24,626. That's going to be quite a bit lower. He's going to be tied for characters like Emma Frost, X-23, Green Goblin, Juggernaut. He's about the high 70s, low 80s in terms of percentile or ranking on that damage. Not as impressive, so he's not going to be an offensive powerhouse like White Tiger was. And if you go and look at his focus is sitting about 9,826. He's got 8,600 resistance. So he's not exactly a powerhouse in either one of those sections either. He's kind of like in the 60s, 70s for both of those. Not exactly something that you're gonna think of as being like, wow, you really have, like, those are incredible stats for him. Yeah, he's not really gonna have those high damage, high focus, high resistance stats you're looking for, but parts of his kit will make up for the fact that he doesn't have as high a focus. We'll talk about that too when we go through his kit. And then his speed is also going to be sitting here at 105. Now, when you go and look at that, yeah, it's about the same percentile. He's tied for characters like Invisible Woman, Kitty Pryde, Domino, and Hand Sorceress. He will get a bit of a speed boost, and that's depending on where you're using him. If you use him with a Shadowland team, he'll get a pretty significant speed bar boost at the start of the fight. And also, if we're using him in war, different places, he will get a pretty significant speed boost there as well. So that speed doesn't really tell the full story for Moon Knight. He can move significantly faster. So there is that to consider with him as well. Now, once we go through his stats, let's take a look at his kit. And this, I think, is going to be very important for where you want to kind of put this character into different teams. His basic is pretty interesting in that he attacks the primary target, and then once you without even T4ing this, he's get a 50% chance to apply a positive effect for 2 turns. It can be either counter, offense up, or speed up. So those are some of the things already. Not so much damage. He can get offense up on himself, and counter also gives him a 50% speed boost. So do consider that. But if you do T4 this, I think this is going to be a very important T4. He is a guarantee to get one of those positive effects for 2 turns. That's pretty cool. Offense up and speed up. Hey, you can't disagree with those. And having counter up on him does give him increased damage. So it's basically like getting offense up on himself, but it is kind of dispellable because if he uses counter, well, he loses the damage buff. So that's a pretty cool one, and we'll talk about this with the ISO classes to go for on him. His special is called Night Guardian, and with this, he's able to attack the primary target and rebound chains between multiple targets. He does gain 100% crit chance against targets that have negative effects on them with this ability. So if you are using a team that has a lot of debuffs, well, you're going to get some pretty significant damage with him out of this because of that bonus crit chance. So there could be a possibility to go for Raider on him because of this. But let's talk about his ultimate, because this is the big deal for him. If you had this fully upgraded, you attack all enemies for a certain amount of damage, apply heal block, and then he has a 50% chance to apply 3 additional negative effects to each enemy from this list: bleed, blind, defense down, disrupted, offense down, and slow. Those are for the most part, those are some pretty strong negative effects. The bleed one's kind of but can you imagine someone having blind, disrupt, and slow or offense down on them? Just how strong those negative effects would be on those characters. Yeah, and those would be for 2 turns. So that is pretty significant, and he also gains a pretty big boost of focus for this attack as well. As you upgrade him, he gets, I believe, 100 to 200% bonus focus with this once it's fully upgraded. That's a huge amount. So even though his focus wasn't that impressive, he's got a big focus boost here just because of this ultimate and those negative effects. Now, the one drawback is that it's only a 50% chance to apply these negative effects. I'm not a big fan of that. Other people were saying that's just kind of like how his talking about the phases of the moon and how that works into his lore. Still not a big fan of the RNG on this. If you don't land these negative effects, well, it's kind of a bummer. Now, he does still have a pretty strong war bonus here, in that in war, he can still use this to clear all positive effects on the entire enemy team. Now, the way this ability works, and I had to get this clarified, according to the JSON files, the way this ability works is that it deals the damage first from the ability, then it will dispel all positive effects on the enemy team, and then it will apply negative effects. So if the enemy team has like immunity up on them, you can get that dispelled through this ability, and then you will have the negative effects applied, bypassing the immunity because it was dispelled. So there is a nice little turn order there. The way it kind of writes down, I was worried that it would actually be doing the damage and negative effects and then the dispels afterwards, but no, it will dispel first and then apply negative effects. That is great. But also, this is just war. It doesn't say war offense or war defense, just war. So if you want to throw this character on defense, and we're going to talk about that here in a moment, this character on defense could use this turn 1, and he can just dispel, but also put those negative effects on the enemy team. That's big. It's kind of like a flip of the coin, but if you land those negative effects, if you land blind on someone, along with disrupted offense down or defense down on the wrong team, I mean, that's pretty big. And that, I think, is going to make him an interesting defensive character. It's kind of RNG, and that's why I'm not sure he's wholly reliable here for this, but I think, like, just think about being able to just dispel all positive effects from the enemy team and then apply those negative effects. I think that is pretty cool. So, yeah, he's got some really interesting stuff here with that ultimate. Now, both his ultimate and his special are both long cooldowns. In fact, I believe they're both, yeah, if you look at it here, you can see his ultimate is a 6-turn cooldown and his special is a 5-turn cooldown. He will have them both available at the start of the fight. So he's going to automatically use the ultimate first, and then he'll use the special on the next turn through. And because of the negative effects from Death from Above, that means his special will be guaranteed to crit on the enemies with those negative effects. Pretty big deal. I like that. So then let's talk about his passive, because that passive is what really gives him that synergy. I think is going to work great with quite a few teams out there. Now, fully leveled up, this character can't block, and on any character's turn, if he has deflect, flip deflect to offense up, and fill his speed bar by 10%. You can also level this up so that he gains 15% damage reduction overall, and he also gains 40% resistance. So even though he had that lower resistance, now he's got a boost to his resistance here, and we had the boost of focus for his ultimate. He also gets a 15% damage reduction on top of his armor. Armor was okay, but now you have another 15% added in. Now, this final ability, the T4, if you are using him with Shadowland, this is a recommended one. I mean, the Shadowland characters themselves don't have huge health pools, so this will be a nice T4 to go for on him if you're going to use him with a Shadowland team. But if you're not going to use Shadowland, you're trying to use Moon Knight elsewhere, you can most likely skip this. That 20% max health on him is nice, but he will still be able to do just fine without that max health. Remember, he has one of the highest health values in the game already, so you don't need to worry about this T4 as much. But yeah, I mean, while this character has counter, he gains a 50% damage that goes back to his basic, where he can gain counter with his basic attack, so now he has 50% bonus damage. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you can use him to give offense up to himself and then just kind of wreck enemy teams. So yeah, it's gonna be one of those interesting things. This guy's got some really interesting synergies going on. But this right here with the deflect and flipping deflect to offense up and filling speed bar by 20%. Here's how this works. In war defense, if he has boost on him or he has some way of getting deflect on himself at the start of a fight, that deflect will automatically be converted to offense up, and he will automatically fill his speed bar by 20%. That's pretty big. That's a pretty significant boost to speed bar right away, plus the offense up. So he can never block. He can't use deflect, but he will convert to give himself that big speed bar boost. There are teams out there that can just constantly feed him that deflect, and it's going to provide some really interesting synergies. Now, the two teams I'm thinking of that I may try using him with at some point, because I'm using Punisher with my Shadowland team right now. We're punching up against teams. We're crushing Doc Ock the other day. We also punched up against Marauders. So I think Punisher with Shadowland has some interesting synergies. We'll have to see if that will work against like Black Order. I don't think it will. But yeah, I mean, the Shadowland plus Punisher and Moon Knight elsewhere, I think it's still going to be a valuable offensive team. But if you want to go for a really annoying defensive team that's got a lot of blocking and stuff going on, Sinister Six. Because of this guy right here, Doc Ock, you can take me down to tier 15 because I'm using him in DD4. This Master Planner ability, on turn, if charged, apply 1 deflect and 1 speed up to a maximum of 5 to self and all adjacent allies, and then lose 1 charge. So he's constantly going to have charge on him because of his special. He's getting a bunch of charge there. This guy, if you put Moon Knight next to him every time Doc takes a turn, you now got speed up on Moon Knight, and now you also have a boost to speed bar and offense up on Moon Knight. That is pretty cool. That I really like. So this one's going to help him move quite a bit faster. There's a lot of debuffs with Sinister Six. You know, you have Mysterio, you have Electro. Both of them do team-wide negative effects on their first turn. Add in Moon Knight, and Moon Knight is going to dispel and do some really nasty debuffs on his own. I think he could be a very interesting character for a Doc Ock defensive team because he's got high health. He's going to heal quite a bit because of Doc. Speed bar boost. That one I think is going to be really cool to try out. I'd probably get rid of Swarm because I really like Mysterio and Electro and Green Goblin. And yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to keep Rhino on there. We'll see. But I think that would be a really cool team to try Moon Knight on. I'm really excited to try this maybe one day. See just what Moon Knight could do with this team. The other option that I really want to try with him, because this team could not be more annoying right now, is going to be your Merc team. Now, there's a little interesting lore there because Moon Knight was a former Merc, so getting some nice synergy with a Merc team in war defense, I mean, that's just poetic justice, right? I love it. So what's going on here is Riot Guard. Every time he is attacked, you can T4 this, and every time he's attacked, he will apply deflect to himself and adjacent allies. Throw Moon Knight right next to Riot Guard. Riot Guard takes damage, he applies deflect to Moon Knight. Moon Knight instead gains 20% speed bar and gains offense up. Both these teams, I think, are going to be very interesting possibilities with Moon Knight. And this is why I think even outside of a Shadowland team, I think Moon Knight could be a very annoying war defense character if you can plug him in on the right team that's going to be able to constantly feed him deflects, speed him up, give him that offense up, and just kind of build him up. If you can get him going quite a bit often with that offense up and just doing nasty things with those dispels and negative effects, I mean, come on. I mean, you already have Taskmaster who's going to apply Deflect and Blind. Now you have Moon Knight who can apply Deflect, or Bleed and Blind, not Deflect. Now you have Moon Knight who can also apply Blind and other things like Defense down and Speed down. I mean, I really like the possibilities of Moon Knight with Mercs. So, just before we go, one other thing I want to talk about with him is ISO classes. I think Striker is going to be a very strong class for him because of those basic attacks. With this, if you go and look at it on the counter and assist info, if he uses this, it's based on the ISO attack. The bonus attack is based off the assist and counter info. He's going to deal damage, and he's also able to gain counter, offense up, or speed up with that basic attack. I think Striker is going to be really great for him because of that. You can use him twice. You can use a basic attack twice against a vulnerable target. First time, he could gain offense up. Second time, he gains speed up. I mean, you have the chance to double dip with some positive effects on him. I like Striker for him. You just got to make sure the other characters around him are able to apply vulnerable so he has a chance of doing it. The other one I really like for him is going to be Raider because of this special where he can use this and it has a 100% crit chance against targets with negative effects. He's using this a lot. He's gained that bonus crit chance and crit damage because of Raider. Now he's applying vulnerable on everyone with those critical hits. That's why I have Raider on Daredevil, because Daredevil can just go down the line of his ultimate, can't be blocked, guaranteed crits on everybody. Everybody's got vulnerable, and now you can use them with like White Tiger and just the sheer amount of negative effects she can use on her abilities. Yeah, I think Raider would be a good one for him as well. Skirmisher, not so much. I mean, he's got the huge amount of bonus focus here already, 102% focus here, and with a Shadowland team, he is going to have bonus focus through Elektra. He's also going to have offense up through White Tiger and her spawn effect. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of Skirmisher on him so much. I think Raider and Striker are better ISO classes for him. But honestly, I think that even without a Shadowland team, this guy has got some really good possibilities on him. And yeah, I'm a big fan of him. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about Moon Knight? Are you guys going to chase him at all? Are you guys even going to try to go for him? I know a lot of people are kind of sleeping on Shadowland, which is totally fine. But I want to know, are you guys more interested now in Moon Knight after watching this video? Let me know down below. But as always, if you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, share, and subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content in the future. And as always, I will see you guys next time.